Everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys, we are going to be doing an awesome deck profile of my Super Quantum decks. Yes, go Super Quantums. Fighting Forces Super Quantums. Yes, I just sung the Power Rangers intro video. I promised myself years ago, if I ever did a deck profile of this deck, I would do that. So I'm fulfilling that promise. So yes, Fighting Forces Super Quantum. Yes, if you guys don't get the reference, Super Quantums are based off Power Rangers, yes, which is awesome. As a 90s kid, I grew up watching Power Rangers, and I actually had a very old school Power Rangers game. It was very old. Not even Game Boy Color or Game Boy. It was older than that. It's from the original Power Rangers, but I used to play that a lot when I was very young, and I remember watching the Power Rangers series growing up. Yes, but the Super Quantums are based off Power Rangers, and something I want to mention before I get into this deck profile, guys, is this is one of those decks that I have had partially built for about 2 years now. I had other decks that took precedence over this, so I didn't get a chance to do the deck profile, but pretty much I've been trying to figure out a build that I really liked for a long time now. And when the recent ban list happened, it reminded me of this deck because 2 cards came off that made this deck better and indirectly helped this deck. Those being Danger Nessie, that gives you a hint of what you're going to see in this deck profile, and also in addition to that, Emergency Teleporter, going from 1 of to 2 of, helped this deck out quite a lot as well. So those 2 cards indirectly helped this deck, and you're going to see that in this deck profile. So I just want to mention that to you guys. And no, there will be no more singing of Super Quantums, but yes, that, like I said, I was fulfilling a promise I made to myself years ago. So first we have our 3 Red Layer. Red Layer is the heart and soul of this deck. It's kind of like a Cyber Dragon card, but also the fact that it can help bring back things from grave is nice as well. Staple 3 of, in my opinion, but definitely I've seen people, if you guys are familiar with old school Monarchs from when this card came out, people used to run this in their Super Quantum engine, actually, in their Monarch deck before the Brilliant Fusion engine years and years ago. When the structure deck first came out, but definitely staple 3 of in this deck. It's the heart and soul of the deck to some degree, I've heard people say. Next we run 3 Blue Layer. Blue Layer is kind of a searcher. I'm happy Konami made this a super rare a few years ago. Blue Layer is a staple 3 of. Emergency Teleporter, coming back from 1 of to 2 of, helps this deck out and gives it a little bit more consistency boost. That is something that is important to keep in mind when you're actually playing the deck and building this deck. E-Tele does help this deck. But this is your search, or one of your main searchers for the deck. Super Quantum Green Layer is really awesome because it's a mini draw engine for the deck to some degree, quote unquote. But it's a staple 3 of. I've seen some people cut this down to 2 of recently. I don't know why. I like the card as a 3 of. I feel like it's pretty staple as a 3 of. It gives a little bit of draw power to the deck to some degree. But yes, definitely staple 3 of. Next up we have 3 Super Quantum White Layer. White Layer is kind of your level manipulation card in the deck. And what I mean by that is it's going to help manipulate your different Super Quantums levels. It also helps you go more easily or into other Super Quantum, Exceed plays, because if you guys do not know what is the boss monster of this deck, I hear quite often, is it's Super King Great Magius. Now, Magius is a little bit hard to bring out. We try to bring this card out as easy as possible, but this deck is more predicated on Exceeds. Yes, we have the Link monster, which is good and decent, but mainly we're trying to focus on going for this bad boy. This is kind of your win con of the deck to some degree. And people are going to say, well, what about Kaijus? I'm going to be honest with you guys. They're going to have to side that deck in game 2, and this is Super Quantums. Like, come on. Like, next we run 3 Super Quantum Fairy Alphen. I love this card. This card looks so cute, in my opinion, as a fairy. But Super Quantum Alphen is a 3 of. You can easily bring this card out to the field because we run 1-for-1, which is awesome because 1-for-1 can set up things in graveyard for certain Super Quantum plays, as well as bringing your Alphen out into the field. So that's something to keep in mind. Now let's get into the package. We run 1 Danger Jackalope, 1 Danger Tsukinoko, and double Danger Nessie. Now, you can run Mothman, Danger Mothman in this deck. That is up to you to decide. That it really is up to you. But I like this ratio of 2 Nessie, 1 Danger Tsukinoko, and 1 Danger Jackalope. I kind of, in my head canon, will say that I think of these as the evil monsters that the Super Quantums have to fight. That's in my head canon. That's what this is. But the Dangers really are going to help out with this deck and facilitating your level 3 plays, which are really nice. And also your Nessie is going to help facilitate other plays as well. Your bigger plays. Like I said, you can run Mothman if you like. I had Mothman in this deck for a long period of time. I recently took him out because Nessie went back to 2 of. So I'm kind of playing around with cards to say, hey, do I want to cut this out to run this? Do I want to run this instead of this? I'm trying to find a good balance of cards in this deck. But for right now, this is what I'm running. Because the rank 4 plays are good in this deck. I will admit that. But I find that, well, you are going to be going for them fairly often. The other plays are just as good, and with level manipulation, it really wasn't necessary to run just Mothman for that reason. But if you want to, you can run Mothman in this deck. Like I said, I was running that for a long time. I'm just play testing with 2 Nessie instead of 1 Mothman. Next, I run for the Damage Juggler, and this is one of the other reasons why I don't feel like I need to run Mothman, is I'm running 2 Damage Juggler and a Trick Clown. This is really good. This is going to help precipitate your rank 4 plays, give you some protection with Damage Juggler plays to help bide you some time. Just overall, it works well with the Danger package and what you're trying to do. This is something initially I hadn't tried until I was doing some research about a month or so ago, about 2-3 months ago, when I was revisiting this deck. And I saw people running this, and I was like, that's weird. And the Danger package made sense to me a little bit because of the ranks. But I kind of looked into this, and I tried it out, and I said, oh, I like this. I see what they're trying to do. So it's kind of hard to, maybe you're in the same boat as me. You're like, okay, you're running Dangers and this Performer page engine. Why? I'm going to say this, until you try it, it's going to be a little bit harder to explain if you don't understand right now. But it's going to help facilitate your different plays in the deck, really, and help work everything out. We want to run some hand traps, so we're running the generic Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. You can run whatever your heart's desire in this deck for those reasons, but that's up to you to run what you want to run. But 3 Ash Blossom is generic. I like it. Next, we have Super Quantum Mega Ship Magna Carrier. This card is essential for this deck. You want to get to this card as soon as possible, which is the reason I'm running the 1 Terraforming as well. I used to, before I was running the Danger and the Performer page engine, was even running, what's the trap version of Terraforming? I'm having a brain fart. It's been a while since I've run it because I haven't run Mystic Mine recently. But the trap card, that pretty much can search out your field spell. You can run that too if you wish. But, like I said, this card's essential. Terraforming is going to help you get to it a little bit more even easier. And this card is essential as a 3 in this deck. If you get this card going, up and running very early, you're going to be in a good position. But staple card in the deck. I love they really based a lot of these stuff off Power Rangers, which is so cool. They really stuck to the lore of the deck. Next, 2 Emergency Teleporter. Like I said, E-Tele went back to 2 of. So we're running 2 E-Tele. This is really going to work nicely with your Super Quantum Blue layer, which can help you search things out. Just great combos overall. We run 1 Call by the Grave, because Call by the Grave is Call by the Grave. Great card. Going to help protect you against hand traps and disrupt graveyard-oriented decks. Foolish Burial is pretty straightforward as well. Certain cards you want to set up in grave for other cards to go off with. So Foolish Burial is going to help set certain Super Quantums up in grave, so you can benefit from other Super Quantums effects. 1 for 1, like I said, this is going to work with Alphen, and it's going to help set things up in grave if you need to. Next, we run 1 Upstart Goblin, make it a 39 card deck, give me a little bit of draw power. And lastly, 1 Monster Reborn. We have a bunch of cards that we may get effects off of if we reborn them. And we also are a combo-oriented deck to some extent. So this fits perfectly well with the theme of what this deck is trying to do. Next off, we run 3 Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence while this deck is predicated on going for Magius, and if you get that out, backed up with an Infinite Impermanence or an Ash Blossom, that's a pretty nice little field you got there. Not great by any means, but nice. But also Infinite Impermanence is really great in this deck because this deck, it does have some issues with monster effects. And I say that lightly because it does have stopping some monster effects, but you want to make sure that if your opponent has something that can disrupt your plays or stop you, maybe do something to a setup you're trying to create for Magius to come out, you want to be able to negate it. So Infinite Impermanence is going to help you out in those ways and also be defensive. So offensive and defensively, it will be a great card in this deck. If you have the card, I would run it highly, especially because the reprint just came out, if you can find the structure decks. And lastly, I run one Super Quantum Mega Sword and Mega Slayer, which is just an awesome card. I wish in my deepest of hearts this would be made into a super rare one day, because I just think it would pop so well as a holo. That's just me. But saying that, this card's really nice because it's going to help out with your Super Quantum Exceeds and adding materials and all that stuff. It's a great one in this deck. I see some people not running this card, and I say to them, try it out, because I thought the same thing too. It's a trap, it's slow, it's not good. I tried it out and I love it. So staple one of in this deck. It really works with the Exceeds and helping them out. So staple one of. Next, let's get into the extra deck, guys. We run two Super Quantum Magius. And you may be asking yourself why you run into Super Quantum Great King Magius. That's because there's other ways we can bring Magius out besides doing it let's just say the proper way, by using all the Exceeds. But it also can be brought out and turboed out through number 27 Dread Destroyer. So Dread Destroyer can bring this out. That's a way of turboing it out in the deck as well. So these are things you just need to keep in mind. But yeah, two Super Quantums. Next we run two Super Quantum Mega Beast Lustrex. Lustrex is very good in this deck. Staple 2 of, like I said. Next I run Super Quantum Mega Beast Magallorian. Can't pronounce it properly, but there you go. Two Magallorian. I have one common because I never could find another holo from anyone over the years as I've built this deck. Next I run two Super Quantum Mega Beast Erebos. Nice little card. I really like this card. Next, I run Super Mega Chrono Beast Grand Pulse. This card is probably the one that everybody's the most familiar with, because this card, for a long part of Yu-Gi-Oh's history, a good amount of time when this card came out, was very good. It even came out as an OTS Ultimate Rare because of how good this card was. I, alas, only have the rares, but still. Staple 2 of in the deck. It's going to also be really easy to help you go into other, let's just call Exceed stackers or rank up Exceed type cards. And lastly, we run one Neo Super Quantum Mega King Blaster Magnum. So these are all your pretty much your Mega Super Quantum cards. Now all the other stuff is generic stuff. So let's get into that now. So pretty much for your generic stuff, we're going to be running Super Dreadnought Rail. I'm so used to saying Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. That's not what this card is. Number 27 Dreadnought Dread Destroyer. Like I said, this is going to help turbo out your King Magius. Number Full Armor Black Ray Lancer over here. Black Ray Lancer is going to help you go. You can, if you use all your materials for your Grand Pulse, you can go into Black Ray Lancer. Black Ray Lancer is actually not a bad card. I'll be honest with you. So this card really works is mainly for this card right here. Next, I run Drill Driver Vesputo. I can't pronounce it. This card's really good. Do not underestimate this card and its potential in this deck specifically, because you have all these other Exceeds that you can rank up into this card. Really good. And then lastly, because this kind of reminds me of something from freaking Power Rangers, Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. I know it has its own lore, but if I just took away this and I put these two cards side by side, I would just say it's a different version of Power Rangers. If I took the name out, I'd be like, oh, it's a different Super Quantum Power Ranger. I honestly thought when I first saw this card, I didn't see the name first. by the way, I thought, oh, it's a Super Quantum. Nope, it wasn't. It's its own thing. But beside the fact, it's actually really good in this deck. And if you have Thunder King's AA Zeus, you run it in this deck. You really need to, because of all the Exceeds, and because we're an Exceed-focused deck, it's really, really important to run this card. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this deck profile. I try to make it in-depth as possible, but Super Quantums are very straightforward. But their combos and plays are a little bit hard to pull off, but they're super fun. It's a very old-school way of playing Protect the Castle, or Protect the card with Great Magius and trying to bring it out. But it's such a fun deck to play overall. So I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, even if you just love Power Rangers in general. And guys, I would like to ask you a question down below. Tell me, who is your most favorite Power Ranger when you were growing up? Who was your favorite Power Ranger and why? So tell me favorite Power Ranger and why down in the comment section below. I'm looking forward to seeing your responses to see. And until next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling to all of you. And I'll see all of you guys next time. Take care, everybody.